Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. Hey, so today we have a fan favorite. I have Gina Iovino on again because, again, fan favorite. Thank you, Gina, for being here. So a little bit about Gina. She's a nutritional coach specialist and neuro wellness coach. She has three brothers who are Marines. And Gina's, it goes without saying, you're so passionate about helping the military community, with Project Refit and Guardians of Valor and all the other amazing things you do. So thank you for that. It's an honor to know you and watch what you do. It's fantastic. So Gina is a neuroencoding specialist as well. Gina, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, so as Michael was saying, I am a new functional nutrition coach and also neuro wellness as well. And I help women. That doesn't exclude is if a guy came to me and wanted some help too as well. But my main focus is helping women, especially moms, because I can understand what it's like to have kids and want to lead a healthy lifestyle. And how does all those pieces kind of come together and work? And then I've recently just kind of actually niched a little bit more down into what we're going to be talking to about today, which is pre-diabetes and diabetes, because it's alarmingly, the statistics are, it's growing and it's becoming more and more prevalent in so many people that we know. So I decided to kind of niche down a little bit and have a little bit more focus there.
Fantastic. And, I think you're going to scare the shit out of people just a little bit with some statistics. It's alarming, and I'm glad you're coming on here and you're really focused on that. So again, thank you. And I'm excited for this conversation. So, Gina, tell us a little bit about how you got into, the wellness arena, the neuroencoding, and how that has happened. Briefly, again, we've talked before, but for new viewers.
Yeah, sure. So I'll keep it really short so we can have more time to kind of get in the nitty gritty of all this fun stuff. But I got into it because, first of all, I have my bachelor's in psychology. I was always fascinated in how we think, feel, what we do, and then how we kind of rinse and repeat and do it all over again, and why certain people can succeed and why other people kind of fall short. I was just really interested in how, people think and function. So that was one part of it. But then what happened was I went through, after I had my fifth child, I went through like my own health issues that were very debilitating. I couldn't understand what was going on. And when I wasn't getting the full answers from my doctor, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to choose to go a certain route. I'm going to choose something different because I know my body. I know how I was before. This cannot be the rest of my life because I'm a mom and I've had kids. So when I dug down deep, that's when I got into this whole world of functional nutrition. I was able to not only heal myself, I was actually able to also get rid of eczema on my hands that I had very badly for over 20 years, that I was told wouldn't go away, and I would only have to use creams or get radiation to get rid of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've been eczema free for over 6 years now.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah. And so when I started learning this stuff and really diving into what we put inside of our body communicates to this whole mechanism inside, I thought, you know what, there's so many more people and so much more help that I can do and letting people know this information. So that's why I got into functional nutrition. And I also loved it too, because part of it is, there is a psychology there. You get to be kind of like a detective in figuring all this stuff out. And then with the neuroencoding, a lot of this too, this is behavior, it's patterns, it's taking action. And so being able to help my clients and figuring out how to use that too as well, so that they're not only successful with their nutrition lifestyle, but that they keep it up. Because that's one of the things that I want for everybody, is that this is a lifestyle And yeah, and I want you to be very successful, because when we're in our 80s and 90s, I want to see us all having fun and a good time and just living life to its fullest for as long as we can.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's so important, with brain health and just proper nutrition. And we're going to get into this, obviously, how we just take it for granted. I'm not saying everybody, I'm not making a blanket statement at all. Gina does not.
Yeah.
She does not take it for granted. But seriously, can we get a little more into what is functional nutrition compared to just nutrition coach?
Yeah, functional nutrition, I love it because it's actually getting to the root cause of why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And I know that there's a term that's thrown out there that food is medicine, but I like to say that food equals communication,
Mm,
because we've talked about this before. I can eat nuts. My cousin is severely allergic to nuts. It's good for me. It will kill her.
right.
That's not medicine. It's communication, and what we take in our body is going to either tell our body, is this good for me or is it bad for me? Is it going to help me? Is it going to hurt me? uh, so that's how I like to take a look at that.
Excellent.
That's what makes functional a little different. Also too, we do other things. We not only check for allergies, we take a look inside what's going on with your gut. I also now too, I can do neurotoxicity assessments to see if you have anything like mercury, lead, mold exposure, those type of things that also affect the brain and the body.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just, hey, eat an apple a day. It's like get down to the science of it to really figure out what's going on to make that difference.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And really too, when we went to school, we learned biology. We know we have the body, there's the inside of the body, but really when you get into this, as far as functional nutrition, I mean, there's so many layers, right? So we have the body, then we have the inside of the body, we have the muscle, we have the organs inside of there, then we have, right, blood is flowing, we have oxygen, we have things going on at such a small cellular level. And inside there is just the things that a little tiny cell can do, is just, to me, it's mind blowing.
Wow.
And it all starts from the cell level. So
Absolutely, yes. So I literally, I like the science part of it, so I'm just sitting here
yeah,
just
that's
ready
me
to take
too. Yeah.
notes. Okay, so so I can't wait for the info you're about to mic drop on us. So, if you will, what let's just dive in if we can. What are some of the how do I want to say this? What are some of the main components, or even more so, the warning signs for the things that you came on here to really dive into, which is diabetes, pre-diabetes, Alzheimer's, and there's a plethora of other ones. These are just some of the main ones that get people's attention, I think. So can you dive into that a little bit to help get veterans and their families some more information?
Yeah. Yeah. So I will have to say, is there a lot of these symptoms kind of cross, participate with each other, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
Brain fog can mean a lot of things. Being tired can mean a lot of things. Anxiety can mean a lot of things. So when we do this, I always like to tell my clients too, let's get blood work from the doctor, because that's going to also take a deeper look to see what's going on. Let's also check your hormones. We know too that if our hormones are off, it can look like so many of these other symptoms. I would say too, for those that are transitioning out, of the military into civilian life, I think honestly, nutrition is a key role in getting you into not only where you want to be, but the things that you want. Um,
Mhm.
because there's just so much more now too. I mean, when I dived into this, I was like horrified, because we go into the grocery store and we think food is just, it's okay, right? It like, you walk in, you're like, oh, I'll grab this I'll grab that. It's just about calories, and it's really not. And it's very it's sad, and it's very horrific of the actual toxins and the poisons that are being put into our food.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are not even aware. I mean, I was one of those people too. You just think food is okay, and it's not. We really need to start educating ourselves, start saying no to certain these things, and that way, voting by our dollars, by what we're purchasing and not purchasing.
That's fantastic, and I want to dive into that more. So, how do the families, veterans, when they go to the grocery store, start reading a label? And what? And I know there's a plethora. We could spend half an hour just on this easily. But what are some oh, hey, that doesn't look good signs
Yeah.
that I shouldn't buy that, like
Yeah.
ping pongs?
Yeah. I did create a course of like 3 things that you should take out of your diet, 2 things you should introduce, and like, so I do have something like that. If someone wants to sit down, and I do have like PDFs, things for you to print out because it is a lot. And I'm going to tell you too, they're getting very smart. What used to just say like either sugar or, sucralose or aspartame is now like they have all these different new wordings for foods, and it makes it even harder and harder now for the consumer to kind of understand. But I'm just going to say the basics. You pick up an apple, there's no label on the apple. The apple is the apple. And if you pick up a package or process something, it is going to have stuff on the label. And if you can read those ingredients and say, oh yes, I know what almond flour is, or oh, I know what vanilla extract is, I know what sea salt is. Those are whole forms, and that's going to be better for you than buying something where you're like hydrogenated, poly, and you're like, what the heck is this? So those you just should just say no to.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and can you just drop where people can get that course or that information?
Yeah, sure. I'll put in the link. You can go to on my page on Facebook, which is Health and Mindset Revolution under Gina Iovino. I have a link tree in there, and you can find that there too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And side note, can you send that to me?
Yes, I will. I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Thank you. And what's funny is, I've yo-yoed before on diet programs and that kind of thing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but when I simplified my relationship with food and the less ingredients, the better.
Mm-hmm.
If like an apple, there's what the ingredients are. When you start picking up a box of anything, you start seeing all of these ingredients, and you can really simplify as well by just eating those whole natural foods. And that made a big difference for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are some of the signs, if you will? We started this and then I got a sidetracked on the reading the labels, but great information. So thank you. So what are some of the warning signs? What should people be looking for? I know you talked about brain fog and, because they cross each other, some of the symptoms and so on. So if you can continue that.
Yeah, I would say the easiest sign too is know your measurements. Get on the scale. What does your weight look like? Yes, weight is made up of more than just one number. There are other numbers in there that you need to understand. But what is your weight? What is also your waist circumference? They say for women, if it's more than 35 inches, that puts you at a higher risk for a lot of different diseases, especially diabetes, Alzheimer's. And for men, it's 40 inches or above. So that's just something real simple there. If you do it and you're like, oh my gosh, then I need to start doing something. I should probably talk to my doctor, reach out to a coach who can help me with getting me there. Other things are like, what's your quality of sleep? Are you waking up feeling like you didn't even sleep at all, and you're very lethargic? Is it hard for you? Are you crashing at 3 p.m? I know with me, when I was at a low point, I'd get up in the morning and it would take everything for me mentally to just get up and take care of my kids. And I would go to the grocery store. And it was almost like I had blurred peripheral vision where it's hard. I couldn't understand kind of what was going to the left and to the right of me. It was very hard for me. And that it was like severe brain fog. So if you're experiencing your cognitive ability, like when I read, I couldn't remember what I read afterwards. I would help my kids with their homework, and I was struggling to help first grade kindergarten homework. So those are some signs too. If you're just, you the best. And if you're like, this is not how I was last year, a couple years ago, then address it.
Excellent. And your first suggestion would be get blood work or contact you?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You can contact me. I'm also going to help work with your doctor too as well, because I'm going to want you to get some tests that I can't do out of my office that I'm going to want to make sure that you get. So yeah, absolutely. I would love to help you. And if there is something very specific too, I also know a plethora of other people where I can send you if there's something more specific that I need to send you to.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. I want to tell people now, I got about 15 minutes left. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'm making notes. You should be too. So I'd like to kind of move more into how do we start looking at, especially veterans and their families, how do we start looking at solving the problems, helping to, 10, 20, I believe you said 20 to 30 years is kind of the realm, if you will. And I'd like you to talk more about that. Um, how do we start preventing or taking steps of action?
Yeah, yeah. This is a very complicated thing because it's not just one answer. I just can't tell you just to go and work out. That's a piece of it. I can't just say just go out and eat healthier. That's a piece of it. Also, a piece of it is we need to have connection. We need to have relationships. That's another piece. And then there's also the self-care that you give yourself. Um, and so it's all of it together that has to work harmoniously to make sure that you're in balance and that you are thriving, okay, and not just surviving. I have like my little guy here, my favorite little guy, I call him Stuart, that I like to show to my clients. But I really want people to understand that what we do to the body, also we do to the brain, and vice versa. Whatever we do to the brain is going to have a reaction in the body. And our brain is so magnificent. I mean, it is like, it's the super, let's call it like the supercomputer of everything that regulates everything in your body. Starting from the back from the cerebellum, we have the occipital, the parietal area, prefrontal cortex, our temporal lobes underneath. And there's just so much going on. And especially for those that are transitioning, right? They might be experiencing a little bit of anxiety coming out, a little bit of depression. So if you're going to want to help yourself with that in transitioning, let's eat things that are not going to exacerbate those symptoms. We do know things like excess sugar, highly processed carbohydrates. Another thing that people really don't think about, which is MSG, which is monosodium glutamate, which actually triggers the difference in fluctuation in the firing in the neurons in your brain, that can actually make you more anxious, make you more depressed, make you not motivated. And so I would say for those transitioning, if you can get as clean as possible in your health and in your exercise, like I said, in your relationships, your well-being, the better prepared and that you're going to be, whatever you're going to decide to transition into a career or whatnot.
So if we can take each of those sections and talk a little bit about that, does it work for you?
Yeah.
And how each may or may not contribute to those diabetes, prediabetes, and Alzheimer's. So let's start with nutrition. I think you kind of just nailed that one. Eat clean. Is there anything specific that you would say is a cleaner diet, or I don't like the word diet, but nutrition that people should look at and focus on more so as a generalization?
Yes, yes. Yeah, everything can be different. All of these, different diets do tend to work. The one that I prefer is the Mediterranean diet. The reason is because it uses more things like lentils, beans for protein, also higher qualities of fish, like your salmon, sardines, very rich in DHA and EPA, which the brain loves.
Oh, yeah.
We have around each axon is a fatty layer called gray matter, and to keep that beautiful and plump and thriving, it loves healthy fats and healthy oils. And I did want to bring actually a statistic on, because we are talking about diabetes, because
Please.
I believe that when we say these, we're talking about things like nutrition and things like that, but this was really something that even I was shocked to see this new statistic, which is this just came out in May of 2024, and this is from the CDC. Okay, 38.4 million people right now have diabetes.
Wow.
That's 11.6% of the population. So we're thinking about so when you think about it in percentages, that's like 40% of the population right now have diabetes. Get this other part. That means that 8.7 million are undiagnosed and don't know that they have it.
Wow.
This is alarming, right? And now from 2021, it was at 29.7 million. So with everything that we know, it has risen from 29 to 38. That is a huge jump. Yes, we have things like out there, right, for insulin resistance that we can take, like metformin, but that is not solving the problem.
Right.
It's putting a Band-Aid on it. The way that we solve the problem is like what we're talking about. It is through nutrition, fitness, self-care, your relationships, getting back to holistic practices. Okay. And feeding the body the communication it needs to thrive and survive. So I thought that was just alarming. And then if we think about too, this statistic too, because we're talking about, and now that was from people 18 and over. Now this one is going to have a little bit in there as far as with kids that are 18, because it says from 20 and younger, 352,000 children right now have type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
And that's 40%.
Wow.
So if you think about it, I mean, really, if we combined it, like 80% of the population is sick.
And
it's increasing, and Alzheimer's is increasing.
That's literally staggering. Because I mean, I heard statistics a couple of years ago.
1 in 2 people that you can be in a group with, 1 out of those 2 is going to either be pre-diabetic, diabetic, and or if they're even older, they could be even experiencing Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes is what they're calling it. And the reason that is before too, I want people to understand that this, we have our beautiful brain, but what happens is when we eat overly processed carbohydrates and sugar, okay, our bloodstream, right? The insulin helps take that sugar and it brings it to all of our cells because we do use that glucose as a form of energy. So it brings it to the cell. The cell is only going to grab so much that it needs because each cell knows how much it needs for energy. Our muscles, right? They grab glucose. That needs energy because we need to be fast. We need to move, and that pumps out in glucose. But then what happens is the truck keeps coming around, and if all the cells are filled, the truck's going to keep building, right? Keep piling on all that sugar. It's going to stay in the bloodstream. And what do we know about sugar? Sugar deteriorates. That's why a lot of people too start to get problems with their vision. There's heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. The sugar starts to eat away at our beautiful vessels inside of our body. If you've ever seen that experiment where someone took a soda and they dumped it on a battery and it started to corrode it, that's what it does inside of your system if you have too much of this. And insulin can't keep up. That mechanism gets broken down. And so now you have this whole catalytic storm that's going down and infecting not just one area, but it's starting to trickle in other areas, inside of your body, different organs, and obviously in the brain too as well. So it's very serious.
Yeah, I can tell. I feel your passion, my friend. It is, people just don't really think about it because they're just too busy not being present for themselves,
And we're not and real quick too, like commercials aren't going to come on, right? And not going to say what we're talking about and give you, right, the resolution to it. Their resolution is the new pharmaceutical pill.
Right.
That also has all these side effects on top of it, right?
That you literally sit there for about 8 minutes listening to on a commercial.
So people, I think, feel like too, like they don't have an option. And when we do want to spend our time, right, after a busy day of work, who wants to sit down usually, besides me, because I love this stuff, but people normally don't sit down and go, okay, what do I need to do XYZ for my health or for my organ or for my liver or, for brain, they want to sit down, they want to relax, they want to take their shoes off. They might want to watch, the latest Netflix, show or jump into a podcast. And so, yeah. And so, I think that's also part of it too, is that educational piece because,
So how, okay, I know the answer. I know what you're going to say, but I want you to say it. So you're tired. Your patterns, right? Here, let's go neuroencoding. We know our patterns. So what is some ways or a way that people can, if they know their pattern of Monday through Friday, I am tired, I just want to check out, I don't want to make dinner for 5 people, I just want to relax and check out on Netflix or doom scrolling or whatever they call it with your phone. Give us a tip.
Okay, I have a couple of tips. Okay.
Please.
So the first one is which is really great. There are some more companies out there that are being more health conscious. One of those I do know that I find in my store. I'm sure it'll be everywhere. It's called Amy's. They have like in frozen foods. If you're like, you know what, I gotta put something quick on the table, has more healthier organic ingredients in it. The second thing I would tell you is if you want to, if you're like, I gotta, I want to listen to a Netflix or listen to a podcast, put your earbuds in. We can take these with us everywhere, right? Put it on, go outside and just go for a walk as you're listening. That will help you as well. You'll get some exercise in. You're also going to get those natural feel-good chemicals that are going to inspire you when you come home to keep going as far as living this different lifestyle than if you were just to plop down, because there's no reward in just sitting. But yeah, go ahead.
Also, no, you're good. You're good. So also, like, I know me, if I do a workout that day, I'm making healthier choices, whether it be a walk and just enjoying nature, or I'm on the treadmill and then doing full body exercises, whatever the case may be. But if I've invested in myself, I'm thinking how I'm going to eat differently that day, because I don't want it to go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to throw that in there. What about like meal prep?
Yeah, I'm going to say, if you really want to hunker down and you want to get really good at this, meal prepping is going to be definitely the way to go. And meal prepping, the way that I do it, I'm telling you, it's a fun way. It really is fun. I am not the kind of person that says, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't have this. I always sit down with my clients and say, what are your favorites? What do you like to have? And then we make meals based off of all of their favorite things, but in a healthier version. So it's not about taking anything away. It's actually about adding in lots of flavor, good healthy sources. But with meal prepping, there's different types. Even with my busy moms, I do a thing where I call them transition meals, which means we prep one meal, but then also from that one meal, we can get 2 to 3 other dinners out of it, which is saving you time. It's saving you money right now at the grocery store, and less disposal. You can even make those meals. We freeze them. I teach women how to constantly make up a stock of meals, so that way on your busy days, you have a month in the freezer ready to go for you that you can just pull out and use. So,
and I love the transition meal.
Yes. Yeah. And once you start doing this, it gets easier and easier, and it gets a lot more fun, because I really want everyone to love being a part of a culinary experience again. We really have moved out to just give me, grab, you do it for me. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to disassociate myself from the real world. And we need to get back into actually touching the food and, tasting it along the way, and all of that greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add to that, Gina, great information, because especially transition meals or meal prep, I know this is a thing for Susan and I, where if it's, we got to figure it out every day, we got to figure out what we're going to do, it's not any fun. Yeah. It's a lot more fun to have it already kind of figured out, and then you're sitting there cooking together, you spend time with your spouse, whatever the case may be. But especially the transition meals, I've not heard it called that, so I'm going to use that. Thank you. But if you have that and half your meal's already made for the next day, especially meats, that kind of stuff. I know we do that a lot. Salads, for a day. It makes it so much easier. And if you already have a plan, you're not going to go, pick up the Cheetos and say, okay, well, I'm just going to eat this tonight. So fantastic advice. I love that, truly. So if we can, because we're getting low on time, big surprise. Let's talk about Alzheimer's. It's a biggie. Yeah. So what are some of the same thoughts, tips around that that you've already kind of given for the pre-diabetes and so on?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, there's that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we always want to be stimulating the brain to keep it active, keep it strong, keep it engaged. Obviously, the next important thing is your nutrition. It has to be on, because again, whatever you bring into your body is going to communicate either wellness or health, longevity, or it's not. Okay, or it's going to age you and deteriorate you. So we have to be very mindful of what's coming in and out. Another thing too is this whole now new realm of neurotoxicity, which comes from everything from our skincare products to even in the air that we breathe, to the water that comes out of our sink, to the chemicals in our food. There's just so much. And I can understand why maybe even somebody that is trying to lose weight is like, I don't know what's going on. I think I'm eating healthy. I'm not sure. Why all of this can kind of be overwhelming because there are so many components. And that's why working with like a functional nutritional coach who understands these pieces is a great tool to have to learning this stuff. And so I would say to everybody, as far as like even with Alzheimer's, is starting small. You know, what are the things that each week I can start maybe one thing taking out that's going to benefit me. You know, on top of that too, we need to make sure that we're having sleep. People underestimate hydration. You know, we're you know, anywhere from 60, you know, to 70% water all over our body. So staying hydrated is definitely going to help. And you know, it says as your weight, which is another statistic, as the weight of your body weight goes up, the size of your brain shrinks.
Interesting.
Yes. So, you know,
Can I
if
ask
you
why?
have a big plump brain, then, you know, losing weight will definitely benefit.
Wow.
Which I can see why, because people that are more overweight, you're having problems with blood flow.
Okay.
You know, and those kind of things. So
Interesting. I have not heard that before.
yeah.
I always learn things from you, Gina.
Yeah, but Alzheimer's is just so big. There really is so much. I know we don't have much time here, but I mean, we could even spend a whole podcast just talking about that. There's just so much. Everything is such these little intricate pieces to it. But
So
basic is we have to start with nutrition. We have to. I just read those statistics to you. They're not lowering. They're getting higher and higher. And the scary thing is it's not going to come down unless you decide that you want to live a healthier, happier life in the long run. And so you have to make those changes, and you can do it. I have tons of families that didn't think that they could with the thickest eaters, and their lives are changed.
it's really interesting. I'm going to attest to that. So if you just like you're saying earlier, make one change a week or you know whatever. So if 2% change, so if you change one little thing, it's like steering a ship. People have heard me say this before, where you're starting and you see a vision of where you want to go, and you just make these little incremental pieces where that ship goes in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, and what that changes for your life and your brain and your body. You go to a whole different destination with just these little changes, like Gina was saying. So I just wanted to add to that because it's really important to understand. It doesn't have to be that overwhelming thing of I'm changing my diet, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You know, just little changes become the new you. So I love that, Gina. If I can, Gina, how do people reach out to you?
Yes, you can find me, Gina Iovino, at Health and Mindset Revolution. I'm on Facebook, also on Instagram at Gina Will Show You. You can find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, and you know what? And if you need to speak with me and you're not sure what is going on with you or where you need to go, I do free consultations, and I will be happy to sit down with you, absolutely for free.
You rock.
You
rock, lady. So if we can, you're a repeat guest here. So 3 tips to get veterans further faster.
Yes, 3 tips. So tip number 1, that I'm going to actually go do something I think a little bit different with them. Number 1 is I want you to go to your doctor. Let's get your blood work. Let's get your panels done. Let's get that physical, and let's see where you're at internally. Then from there, that's going to give you a better idea of where you need to go from there. The second thing is I want to encourage them is movement. You know, too, even when we exercise, how much creativity comes to light when you are moving, right? Sometimes those are the best times that I think of a new plan or an email I want to send out to my clients or something I want to teach comes in those moments where I'm working out. So if you want to feel inspired or not sure where you need to go and you need that moment of like, you know, when is the universe going to kind of tell me what I need to do? Go move. And you'll be inspired. So I would say movement. And the next thing is to get involved in a community. So that way too, you have other people, maybe they're going through this with you, people you can lock arms with. And, that can get you exactly where you are so that you're not at home to your own devices and then pondering and wondering what you need to do.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, jump on a treadmill, put on a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So you brought up something I just want to add really quick. On the top right-hand corner of your screen, there's a blue QR code. If you are listening on podcast forums later on, empowerperformancestrategies.com. Again, empowerperformancestrategies.com. All kinds of veterans and family resources. I've written a couple of books. There's Facebook groups to join. Get part of a community, like Gina was just saying. So please use those resources. Gina, it's a pleasure as always. And let's jump off here and let's schedule the Alzheimer's one.
Yeah, and even another good one really quick, I think might be a good way to discuss is what bad toxic food does to judgment, especially like prefrontal cortex, what's going on. And also too, like with veterans, you'll see a higher incidence in either substance abuse, right? Or, whether it's gambling, those kind of addictive behaviors. And that's also related to food too.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Thank you for saying that. So with that, we are out of here.
Oh, bye.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.